Good morning. I'm out here on the north side of I-75, also called Alligator Alley. It's approximately mile marker 63, where there's a rest stop that goes across Florida. And behind me is the Big Cypress National Preserve. I'll just call it Big Cypress from now on. And this is the north side of the highway where the Florida trailhead is right behind me. After you emerge from the first 30 miles, roughly just south of me, you cross over through this rest stop underneath the highway, and you come to this parking lot, and you continue going through this gate into the north part of Big Cypress and the Florida Trail. So this weekend, there was a big change to the trail in the area where it was officially rerouted. It's a permanent reroute. It's not a temporary reroute. And I'm going to go over that a little bit. So I hope you'll join me. So I appreciate you joining me today. It's a Wednesday morning. It's pretty foggy out here. It's in the early 60s, and I'm out here early. I'm the only one out here right now, and I'm going to just do a little walk. Anyway, this is the gate that leads into the north side of Big Cypress and the Florida Trail. Thanks for watching. I want to tell you about the reroute that just took place last week as of November 17th, 2025 of the Florida Trail, or the Florida National Scenic Trail, through Big Cypress. This reroute is a moving of the official Florida Trail to other trails that are already located in Big Cypress. So last weekend, the Florida Trail chapter in Broward County did their annual routine maintenance. And that includes mowing the trail, cutting back brush, things like that, repainting blazes. And that's normally done every year. But this year, additional maintenance was required as the Florida Trail was relocated to a new portion of trails. And as I mentioned, it was relocated to trails that already exist. But what that meant was that in addition to all the normal maintenance they do and painting blazes, because of the reroute, the trails that were now becoming the Florida Trail need to be blazed orange. And those other trails that were losing part of the trail have to be blazed a new color. In addition, every single sign that denotes the trail or distances and things like that had to be replaced. So it involved a little bit more maintenance than usual for this time of year. But I'm happy to say that the Florida Trail volunteers easily completed the task of relocating the trail by the end of the weekend. So I'm going to go over the changes. As I said, they're not very drastic, and it does give you a little bit of options, and I'll explain what happened and what the trail looks like now. And the easiest way to explain the changes is to put a map up and show you how the trail looked prior to the reroute and how it looks after the reroute. So what you're going to see now is the trail as it was prior to the reroute. You would proceed on the north side of the rest stop, and you'll go through the gate and make sure you close it behind you. And there's a kiosk, 0.1 miles down the road. You can sign in there, and then you can go up the road. And the road is a wide path. There's tracks in it, so obviously it is used for vehicles as well, for maintenance, and it's a pretty easy kind of road walk. And this road is called Noble's Road. And this part that you would be walking on it when you first come in is still part of the official trail for about 0.8 of a mile until it comes to its first intersection. And the map you see in front of you, which is the old map, you see it just continues straight up Noble's Road for several miles past a campground, which is called Noble's Campground. And then you continue going north until you meet a intersection with another road where the Blue Trail comes back. So as you walk up about 0.8 miles, you'll see the Blue Trails off to the right. And then you just continue going. You cross the red and the yellow trails, which are just cross trails, but go across Big Cypress to the Blue Trail as it continues on like a half a loop to where it meets Jones Grade, which is the road at the top, and the Blue Trail follows that road, and you meet the Orange Trail again, which is the Florida Trail, before going off on the left to the Seminole Indian Reservation. And that was the trail. It was actually pretty straightforward because you just came on that road and you just walked straight up the road. One campground along the trail, really, which is Noble's Campground, which to me is a pretty nice campground. It's quite roomy. There's lots of room there. There is some shade in some sections, especially where there's a picnic table and a fire ring. And if there's not a lot of people there, most people will camp right there. There's water there in terms of there's a pond that usually, or a lake, it's really more like a pond, I guess. It's not that big. That fills up with water, and generally almost all year long is full of water. Sometimes there is a resident gator staying in there, so you do need to use caution going to get water, but it obviously needs to be filtered or processed, somehow before, it has to be treated before you can use it. And it's a pretty straightforward trip, and it would be approximately 7.3 or 7.4, it says on the map, 5.6 miles until you reach that intersection with Jones Grade and Noble meet there, and then you go off to the Indian Reservation. And that was how the trail looked prior to the reroute. And my understanding is this reroute has been a long time coming, probably since around 2013 or so. They've been pushing for this because they wanted to get the trail off that road, get to see some of the other areas in Big Cypress, also give it more of a trail feel rather than a road walk. So, and finally got permission from all the agencies and the Florida Trail to move the trail to really other areas of Big Cypress. And this way you can see all the other areas and the beauty that Big Cypress has to offer. So I'm now going to put up the new map, or the reroute. It's the same map basically. The only thing that has changed is the colors of some of the trail, and of course with that, the distance. So now if you come from I-75, the rest stop there, you did the first 30 miles, you cross over the rest stop, you go through the gate just as before. Once again, everything stays the same. The kiosk is there, the gate is there. You do the first 0.8 of a mile, and then you come to the intersection where the Blue Trail used to be. However, now the Florida Trail will actually now follow the Blue Trail. So there is no longer a Blue Trail. You would go off to the right and walk in the woods, sort of. It gets a little bit more, definitely it's a proper trail, as I say. It's a narrow path, goes through the woods, and you now have, in reality, about 3 camping spots you can choose from. Noble's Camp is not on this route at all anymore, so that's not really a probably viable campsite if you're going to follow this route. There are, to me, a much better choice, and there's also 3 choices for you to choose from that they're advertising. So the first one is Carpenter Camp, and that camp's been there before. It's really my least favorite camp in Big Cypress, and I was thinking while I was out there the other day, I shouldn't hate on it so much. It's not a bad camp, it's just not as good as the other camps, in my opinion, because there's not as much shade and there's also no water there. So it's a dry camp. Now there is water available along the path. Usually there's either canals or little ponds that you can filter water or grep water, and you have to treat it obviously before you use it. But there's no water actually in the camp, which is one of my things I don't like. To me, it's also the closest camp to the gate, so I think it gets a lot of use, and it tends to be, to me, a little dirty. There's usually some litter there, so that's one of the reasons it's not my favorite camp. I like the other camps better. But you walk along the path, and as you can see there, you do the first 0.8, you turn off on the Blue Trail, which is now the Florida National Scenic Trail, or the Florida Trail, and in about 1.8 miles, you come to Carpenter Camp. A little bit past Carpenter Camp, about 0.4 of a mile, you come to the Red Trail. You can continue up the Florida Trail now. It's all blazed orange. Can't get lost. You're going to pass the Red Trail and the Yellow Trail, which are, like I said, are cross trails that take you back to Nobles Grade Road. And a little bit after that, you come to what I believe, in my opinion, is the best camp in Big Cypress, and that's Panther Camp. And I like this camp for many reasons. To me, it is the nicest, and it has the most shade. There's a lot of pine trees around, so sometimes there's some soft layers of needles. It's laid out pretty good. There's a lot of places to camp, and you don't have to be right on top of each other. There's trees there if you want a hammock camp. There is a picnic table and a fire ring there as well. And I forgot to mention, at Carpenter Camp, there is a fire ring, but there's a metal table, not a wooden table. So not too bad, but during the day it gets really hot. It also collects a lot of water, and it's not as easy to, I guess, you don't have to worry about people burning and melting it though. So that's one good thing about it. But Panther Camp has basically everything you need. And if you follow the path that goes all the way to the back of the camp, there's a pond there as well where you can get water. Once again, just like at Nobles Camp, you do need to be careful. A lot of times there is a gator that stays there, a resident gator, as we joke around, inside that pond. But most of the time, he's not bothering anybody. But just be aware, when you're getting water, there might be a gator in the pond there. If you continue walking along the Florida Trail, you'll then come to another camp called CCC Camp. And I was told this stands for like Collier Camping Club. It's not the CCC of the New Deal fame that was a federal government program. And there used to be a shack there, I guess, years ago, but it's since either burned down or collapsed and was removed. It's not in the exact spot of the camp, but that's how the area became known. And this camp has a bench, no table, but the bench can serve as a table for you, and a fire ring. And there's really not a lot of room there. It's really just a intersection with what used to be an older trail, and it's just widened out a little bit. There is a canal nearby, and there's even, I think, a pond nearby if you need to get water. But this camp, as you look at the old map, is not designated on the map at all. And on the new map, it's shown there, because obviously it's going to be along the Florida Trail, so it's a route that people may be walking, and this is an option for them to camp at. If you go past the CCC camp, 1.3 miles, you end up once again at that intersection where Nobles Road and Jones Grade, or now the Florida Trail, meet, and then you go off on that side trail to Big Cypress, the Seminoles Indian Reservation, and continue up north on the Florida Trail. So that's the new route. So now an option is always to walk south on that road 0.8 of a mile and take your stop or rest at Nobles Campground, which I've already mentioned. So the difference between the two routes are not very significant, except the mileage does change. So as I calculate, the new reroute adds approximately 4 miles to your trip. So the Reader's Digest of this change is that the Florida Trail, instead of staying on Nobles Road, or the road that you walk on when you come into Big Cypress, and continuing up that until you reach the Big Cypress Seminole Indian Reservation Road, it now goes off where the Blue Trail used to be, through the woods, and follows what used to be the Blue Trail, which is now the Florida Trail. These trails already exist. The good thing is that if you take either route, you'll end up in the same place and you won't get lost. The difference is that now thru hikers have a choice or an alternate. So Nobles Grade Road, or the road that used to be the Florida Trail, is now painted white. So once you turn off on the Florida Trail, or what used to be the Blue Trail, if you continue straight, you're on a white trail, which is like an alternate. You can still go up that way and end up at the same place. So if you're through hiking or doing a section or whatever, you have a choice. You can either follow the actual official route and go on that loop, and it adds 4 miles to your trip, or you can still take Nobles Road or the old Florida Trail, which is now a white trail, and still end up at the same intersection and continue on your trip on the Florida Trail. So that's it. The good thing is that no matter which way you take, you're not really going to get lost, because they both end up in the same place, more or less, unless you take something else. But if you follow the trails, and the markings, which are very good right now because they're all brand new and everything's freshly blazed, you will get yourself to where you need to go and follow the Florida Trail. So that's it. As of November 17th, I believe, this route went live. It was changed, and everything's been blazed and painted. I'm not sure when electronic, trail maps and stuff will be updated. The kiosk in the front has a code that you can scan with your camera, and it will show you the new map. However, Far Out and all trails still do not have the updated maps. But once again, because you're following trails that are already there and really just change their designation, you can follow them even using an old map and you won't get lost. And there are new maps at the kiosk when you first come in there that show you the new route that the Florida Trail takes. So as a matter of fact, I have one of the maps right here that I took from the kiosk when I went out there the other day. So, and amazingly, this code actually leads to a new map, but it says draft on it, not for use or something. It says like draft. So I don't know when they're going to update that. That's the only thing I don't know. Other than that, that's it. So that's the exciting update, the news. Not very big and not a very big change. It just means you might get confused if you're looking for an older map and the colors don't match up. But the signs and blazes will be your guide. So that's it. I wanted to get this out as soon as possible. I'll probably be putting this out early once I can get it edited. And I want to thank you again for joining me. And I hope you found this useful. And if you have any questions, please leave me a comment below and I'll be sure to answer it and respond back to you. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch this video. I appreciate it. Till we meet again.